Alright, welcome everyone to another draft night. Yes, Sticks, we'll save it as a VOD. Can everyone hear me in chat? Nice. Okay. Let's hop into it then. So, the way this works is we're drafting groups for the next stage in draft night. We're gonna find out who's gonna be playing who. It's all completely random, and we'll find out by the end of this VOD who is going to play each other in group stages. So, basically, we'll be going over the format of Challengers and Premier, then we'll jump into the draft of Challengers, and we'll finish with the draft of Premier. Alright, so how are the groups gonna work? Let's dig into that. Basically, there's going to be 4 groups. In Premier, this means there's 4 groups of 4 of the top 16 opponents playing each other. It's going to be a single round robin best of 5 with top 3 from each group advancing to playoffs. And it's going to be a schedule your own, so, you know, if you have scheduling conflicts and stuff, we're going to be able to sort that out. Trippy, unfortunately, couldn't co-host this event, but hopefully, next event, Trippy will be there. And then for playoffs, we're going to do double elimination best of 7. First seed is going to get buys in playoffs, so really important to secure first seed for this. And yeah, I mean, this is going to be the same format between Challengers and Premier. Not many differences. Challengers has a few extra people, so the group sizes may be a little bit larger, but should roughly be the same. Yeah, best of 7 in playoffs, so it's going to be an intense series each time, and this time we're going with double elim rather than single. It'll take a little longer, but hopefully that means we have even more high-level matchups for people to play it. And then in terms of points, here's the points breakdown. You can figure this out in the Discord server too. We may modify, it says Amis, it should be Premier, my bad on the editing. Libra. Okay, but basically, Premier League, tons of points available, and same for Challengers, mislabeled here. So, try to score the best you can, get the best rank you can to get the most points, and the players with the most points will end up in the World Championships at the end of the year. Okay. Last but not least, the deadlines matter. So if there's real struggles scheduling or someone is just not responding, it may count towards a DQ depending on the scenario. So be active with scheduling with your opponents. Try to use whatever threads you have available to you to reach out to your opponents early and talk with staff if you need to reschedule. Okay. So let's dig into the draft, starting with Amis. So, Amis, we have 16, or actually more. I think we have roughly 19 competitors. Some people are still yet to get in terms of whether they'll play or not. And we'll be deciding here who's going to go into each group, starting with drafting for Group 1. So, this will be a snake draft, basically, although it doesn't really matter much. We're going to go from Group 1 to 4, use the spinner to select who's going to play in each group, and then we're going to have a quick review. Yeah, this Amis, this Amis or Challenger is crazy. I think calling it Amis now is a bit of a misnomer because there is a lot of talent. Multiple legends in this pool. People who really nearly broke into premieres, and now they're gonna need to battle it out just to get into playoffs and challengers. So we'll see what happens. I think they'll have some really good matchups and some good rematches too from even qualifiers. All right, so let's start the draft. Who do you think is going to go into Group 1? Let's find out. Oh. And it's looking like Lukey Poo is gonna be that first draw. Crazy. I mean, Lukipu almost made it into premieres, so I don't know. I mean, like, this is gonna be a rough, rough selection for almost anyone who plays him. Let's. So Lukipu right here, 1255 in ELO, sitting right in the middle of Superstar. He made it deep into qualifiers, and I mean, there's just really really little to critique about Lukipu's play. He's solid. Yeah, the medal on the Flygon had to be photoshopped in. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I think he'll go deep in challengers. He's a solid club player. I don't know what more to say. We'll see. We'll see. Let's go back to draft number 2 and check out what will happen here. All right. Not bad. So we got Lukipu in group 1. Oh, it's not updating for me. Give me a second. Gamer Snow 2. Yeah, it's just stacked across the board. I mean, there's no way you're avoiding a difficult matchup if you're in challengers or premieres. That's just the rough reality right now. And thanks, shout out to Kool-Aid again for making all these player cards. Really making sure that, you know, everyone's well represented here with this polished player card. Ooh, Shadow drafted into group 2. Crazy. So another close legend in group 2. Shadow popping up. Yeah, Shadow is in challengers, which is, again, just nuts. I mean, it's going... Challengers is super deep. And Shadow already, you know, he's legend. He's legend in the ELO rank, number 16 so far, playing for Cruz. We see him all the time in the Discord. He's going to be talking shit. He's going to be trying to knock down his opponents, but I think he fell a bit short. He wanted to land in premieres, but just barely didn't make it. I mean, he had some back and forth matches. But we'll see. Now he has the opportunity to redeem himself, landing in Group 2. We'll see who he gets to play. We'll see if he can even make it out of groups. JK. I think he has a good shot. Alright. Let's go to the next draft. Let's see who lands on it. Oh, Mishi or Sharp? Oh, it's Sharp. So Sharp going into Group 3, avoiding Shadow and Lukipu. Definitely two matchups which, you know, in the Sammys, at least if I was playing, I'd like to avoid. Sharp, relative newcomer to the server. I mean, comparatively speaking, big YouTuber on the scene. He's been playing in Knowledge Gap. He's been really honing his skills here. And I think I've liked what I've seen out of him and other Sharp Cleats players. They've really improved their play over time. And we'll see how he does in challengers, you know? I think his goofy builds and stuff will throw people off in group stages, and his big Bowser in the back end will probably be a big challenge to folks who rely on cross passes, which we'll probably see a lot of in challengers. So, I mean, here he goes, landing in Group 3, dodging Lukipu and Shadow at least for now. Oh, wait, did I not remove Sharp? That was a mistake. Well, we get SMF either way, so I'm gonna need to quickly remove Sharp from this. Oh no! Wait, go back. Oh. Okay, We're gonna just call that 2 draws and go back to go back to view the cards. All right, so let's go see. Let's go check out these competitors. All right, so we drew Frito, we drew SMF, 2 players who I think are, you know, definitely going to be challenging matchups for anyone who plays them in Premier. So SMF, he is going into Group 4. He's going into Group 4. Pretty close to Mega Striker at times in the server. Refuses to Titans chip. Kinda insane that he's gonna be in challengers, you know, based off the existing, like, yeah, we'll fix the wheel. Insane he's gonna be in challengers based off of you know, his ELO and his history, but his lack of Titans and stuff may leave some vulnerability, you know. So it's possible for other players to come in, take advantage, and test their luck, but it's gonna be tough. Yeah, I mean, he plays so well, and just very few weaknesses in his play overall. SMF with the old HK pick. Yeah, he doesn't have a profile pick yet. So, you know, we got the red Discord player out there. And Frito, I mean, we've seen this man play. He can play sober, he can play not sober, and either way he's a menace, both in rateds and in tournaments. I mean, he's a solid all-around player. He's really taken into that Guiji camp of dodging and trying to make those really big clips, and he's been successful so far. So we'll see how it goes for him in challengers. But with that, I guess we're already in round 2. Fredo, sorry. Might be Fredo. Should double check the pronunciation. Alright, so Fredo into Group 1, and now we'll get to see who goes into Group 2 as the number 2. And it looks like it'll be Björnen. Björnen's an interesting one, I think. You know, he's dominated other strikers' games and trying to find his way into MSBL now. And I mean, there's a good shot. He could. There's a very good shot. I mean, he's sitting right in the middle of Star. He could like work his way up. He has plenty of guidance with Evo, and if he's active, I think he could be a dark horse. He could be making a big run through this tourney. But landing in Group 2 with Shadow. So I think out of the players Shadow would like to see in his group, Björnen may not be the top pick out of this remaining group, but not the worst. So let's get back here to draft for Group 3. Alright, so remove Björnen from this wheel. Let's see who ends up on the other side. It's Flick. Alright, Flick, my bad. It's my mistake we don't have a player card for you. But, man, we are gonna see Sharp and Flick battle it out in Group 3 here. Going on to Group 4. Ooh, and we get Vic coming out in Group 4. He's gonna have SMF to contend with. That's a tough draw. I mean, would you want to be in the same group as SMF right now? That's hard, you know? Like, out of the groups that are shaping up here, he's definitely gonna be in one of the more difficult ones. And Vic himself, a really solid player. Like, sitting just slightly above. Fredo is Flick. Sitting just slightly above Björnen in that ELO. Big has that solid defense, and I mean that attack and Titan PFP. I think he's gonna, you know, definitely give SMF a run for his money in Group 4. but we'll see. I mean, he nearly made it into premieres too. Just one win away. A lot of these players. So now we're back on round 3, drafting the 3rd spot in Group 1. Supaze. Interesting. So Supaze getting that 3rd spot in Group 1. Supaze, again, relative newcomer, has his own YouTube, big on the club scene. And he's going to be in the mix with Luki Poo and Frito in Group 1. I mean, already shaping up to be a tough group, you know, based off average ELO, based off prior tournament runs. Luki Poo and Fredo are going to be tough to contend with. My god, why am I saying Frito? Libra's right sounding. Alright, so let's go back, check out the latest groups after that draw. So now, drafting 3rd spot in Group 2. Where is your name? You didn't register, Libra. You have to register. Unless you're a late addition to the draft. Havo, coming up as the 3rd competitor in Group 2. And this is just a tough draw for anyone. Havo, definitely a top player out there. He's gonna be gunning it with Burnin and Shadow, and I don't know, man. I think it's hard to tell which group is gonna be the toughest, but Havo's a tough matchup for both those players. Who saves? Sticks making fun of my pronunciation again. I think this one, I think I have it right, but I should have checked. Good jokes. Alright. Next one. Ooh, this is close. Oh, Mishi going into the 3rd spot in Group 3. Again, another pronunciation I should have looked up ahead of time. But let's pull his card up. I think this guy is a hidden menace. Again, it's just so risky playing against him. Between like the cross-continent play, plus his solid execution on Bowser and those cross passes, it's just really difficult, I think, to find a lot of openings against him. And I think against Sharp and Flick, he'll probably find good space to work with for his offense. So to me, at least right now, he's looking like the head of Group 3. But we'll see. I mean, any competitor can make it out of there. And now for that 3rd spot in Group 4, who's going to join SMF and Vic? Oh, it's going to be Luke. Luke sliding into that 3rd spot in Group 4. Luke again, another person, another relative newcomer. Jay Banksness training him, and we'll see whether his brother can put him up to the task. He's also my mentee in the Knowledge Gap tournament. I think he has a good opportunity here to show everyone his mettle. He's been really improving a lot, and I agree, Jay Banksness, don't sleep on Luke. Another HK profile pic. I like how that's the term we're gonna use for it instead of the default. But yeah, Luke is a very solid player. I think people will be surprised with how far he'll make it in this tournament. Alright, we're down to our last 6 competitors. So yeah, some of these groups may have an odd number, like they won't all have the same number of competitors. And Hans, I'm not sure whether he'll play or not, but we have him in the draft. We do some back and forth. And Gamer Snow gets the call up to join Group 1. Wow, this Group 1 is really shaping up like it could be a Premier League group, but it just happens to be in Challengers. So let's check out Snow, one of the newest legends on the server. When we made these player cards, he wasn't quite legend yet, so ignore the ELO. But I think anyone who's played him can tell you that he is extremely talented. Like, very solid Titans chips, really just punishes people on the server in gradeds. I think Zesty was even citing that he almost lost a game to him. So Group 1 is looking like the real group of death here. I think it'll be a real challenge to get out of the group at number 1. And man, it's a tough draw, you know? That's what happens in these group stages. You can get a bit unlucky, but reminder, top 3 people make it out of groups, so you know, no excuses in terms of your group draw. It's pretty hard to not come in top 3 if you deserve it, I think. But we'll see what happens. And Dej getting the call for number 4 in group 2. So let's pull up his card here, check out how he's doing. So I think it's interesting, we have a bunch of players from MSC, SMS who are who are just like coming up into MSBL. Dej is one of them, and he has a tough group draw. You know, is it gonna really need to show up to compete in group 2 with Shadow, Burnin, Havo? But I mean, I think you have a chance. I think you have a chance. You know, Dej is saying in chat he cannot beat a single person in that pool. You're also with Bjernen. You gotta show him up. You know, you can't let him conquer every striker's game. You're all that stands in the way. So now we go into the 4th person in group 3. Oh, we have to remove Dej. This button always gets me. It doesn't really change much though, as we're gonna see CCT come up and take that spot for group 3. You know, CCT is someone I saw on the server like when he first joined, and I thought CCT just incredibly solid player. I really thought that out of that batch of folks who came onto that server around that time, that he would be the first legend out of the group. He plays kind of a little bit slower of a style, I would say similar to maybe Loaf in some ways. And I think that type of playstyle is very challenging to compete against. So we'll see. You know, I think challengers players will probably struggle against that slow playstyle. And coming in group 3, I think he has a strong position to make it out in number 1 in that group. You know, I said that about Mishi, but I think Mishi and CCT will really be running it up. All right, we're on to group 4. And if he makes it, Hans will be there. So, you know, Hans, I think, I think for Hans, he may or may not play in Amis, depending on what was going on. Yeah, is it Hans or is it Hans? We don't know. And another challenge, I mean, if he plays in this league, he's gonna have his work cut out for him in Group 4 with SMF and Big, but... but, oh, it is Hans? I don't know whether to trust you on that pronunciation, but either way, I don't know if he's gonna play, but if he does, that's gonna be a tough group to make it out of. Alright, so in order to make the groups more even, and given that we already know that, oh, it is Hans, Zesty says. That's such a joke. Alright, so I think given the questions on whether Hans, we'll just go with Hans is playing. We're gonna draft the next person into group 4. That way group 4 is an extra buffer of a person, and the last person will go into group 1. So let's remove Hans, and let's take a look again back at how the groups are looking right now. So Buttface or Suntree, our last 2 draws. Who's going into group 4? Again, we're going to group 4 since we don't know whether Hans is playing for sure. And we're gonna get Suntree into this group. So Suntree, interesting player. I think he barely made it into the last rounds for the Premier, and I don't know. I think he's another player who I haven't played a lot. Maybe he could take some games here and change the course of Group 4. You know, he made it deep into Premier, but we'll see. And Buttface rounding up Group 1, so that'll be the last spot for us in Group 1. So that completes really the whole challengers draw. And before we like close this out, let's take a look at Buttface's card, because Kool-Aid has done such a great job with all these player cards. And also, I mean, this man is crazy active on rateds. You know, if he can use Birdo, I think he could snipe some wins here and really change the course of the groups. So let's take a look back at Group 1, because I think this is kind of crazy. Starting from the top, Group 1, I think, is the group of death here. You got Lukey Poo, Fredo, Gamer Snow. All three, I think, you know, superstar to legend level players who should make it out of this group. But who is going to end up at 1? I think Gamer Snow is my dark horse candidate if he continues improving at the rate he does. But Fredo, when he's on 1, he is on another level. You know, he's Mega Striker level. He can really push his game to another extent where it feels like you can't touch any of the players he's controlling. Group 2, Shadow, Burnin, Havo, Dej. I think Havo has the edge here. You know, even with like his qualifiers run, I think he played overall really well. Just kind of got unlucky with a few matchups, and a few games here or there would have just tipped him into premieres. I can't imagine him like not making it. And Shadow's my vote for number 2, I think. And then Group 3. Let's see, Sharp, Flick, Mishi, CCT. I think CCT takes 1, Mishi 2, Sharp 3. But again, we'll see. I haven't played all the players in this group enough, I think, to know for sure. And Group 4, SMF, Bic, Luke, Hans, Suntry. Alright, so this is a challenge because I think all these players perform at very different levels depending on how things are going. And I think the race for 3rd place is going to be crazy tight. So first, I'm going to put SMF, alright? I think he's very incredibly solid, especially on defense. His playstyle kind of blocks those passing lanes really aggressively, and I think that'll be a big challenge for a lot of players. Like, you know, blocking passing lanes is huge. And then second, I'll put Hans, if he plays, of course. That's a big caveat. I don't think he's set on playing. And then third, it's going to be a battle. I think Luke, Big, Suntry, I think are pretty even in terms of playstyle right now. Luke, when he's playing at top level, just has a really crisp defense. Big, very solid, especially with like the big bodies in Bowser. And Suntry, I've only played a few times, but I mean his deep run in qualifiers I think makes him a potential candidate here too. So we'll see. I give the edge to Bic just based off experience, but I think if Luke continues like his growth through group stages, he could really, you know, make that 3rd seed and maybe even make a push for 2nd. Alright, so now that we're done with the Challengers draft, let's move on to the Champs League. Or I guess really it's Premier League. Man, the branding, I just messed up on here, so forgive me for that. But yeah, we'll be going into it. So, Premier League, I mean, anyone can win here. Anyone's game. So let's see, we have 16 competitors to draw from. Everyone from the top 4 from last split, minus Zesty, who's taking a quick break, to the rest of the players here. I think Jay is still playing, you know. As far as I know, all these players are playing. If that changes, we'll rearrange with he def ain't. Is that real? Jay's gonna play Omega Strikers. Well, he didn't tell me right now, so he's in unless otherwise noted. But if necessary, we'll shift some folks around based off their qualifier seedings. So let's draft into Group 1. See who lands as the first person. Oh, Ink. Ink landing in Group 1, kicking off this draft. And Ink initially struggling in qualifiers, but, you know, I think everyone kind of expected him to make it out. And his big body play, his defense, everything is solid, and probably the only manual player really in this tournament. So that's the representation manual players will have. Can he make it deep into this tourney and really prove that manual play can compete at a top level? Because so far no one's done it yet. Let's go into the Group 2. I think things become more interesting as we draft more people. Are we not reading the trash talk? I didn't like have time to collapse it together, but I will make a thread with all the trash talk. So if he plays Jay's in Group 2, Zesty, let me know if Jay said he's playing or not. That way we can clarify that. So Jay landing in Group 2. Jay made some really deep runs in recent tournaments. Of course, you know, there's some controversy around like the recent tourney play and like LAN and all that, but I think, you know, when Jay has been able to play, he's been playing well. And he's really stepped up to the next level to try to cut into the top 3 and finish in the podium, especially with Vert and Romomo coming back into these tourneys, but it's just barely eluded him. So it'll really depend on how these groups look. Maybe he'll get a rematch option against Romomo or Vert. I mean, most likely he will. If not in groups, then he'll get it later down the road. So let's go into the next draw for Group 3. Now that Jay's off the board, so whoever gets into Group 3 gets to dodge Jay and Ink, and it'll be Vert. I think Vert is probably a heavy favorite going into this event, especially with Zesty sitting out. But the big question will be, can he overcome Romomo? I mean, it's been kind of a triangle. Vert finally overcame Zesty in the Evo Invitational, but he hasn't been able to beat Romomo in tourney quite yet. The two were like big playing partners, so they know each other's play styles. And I mean, yeah, it's gonna be an interesting road, you know? Some of these players could be drafted into the same groups and we may not even see them in playoffs. So we'll see what happens. And who's gonna avoid Vert, Ink, and Jay by sitting in Group 4? It'll be Blue Duck. So Blue Duck making it into Group 4, saving himself the hassle of versing Jay, Ink, and Vert. And Blue Duck, again, very solid player. Probably, I think he's the most recent Mega Striker. And even though he doesn't find as much time to play, I think his play has actually improved drastically in recent times. Like, he's become much more solid, much less reliant on the passing game to score his goals and his offense. And as a result, I think it's become a lot more difficult to guard. So, these 4 players, they will head the groups going into the second round. So we'll see who lands with them. I think that'll be more interesting to see what the potential matchups are. And we get Trippy into the Group 1 with Ink. So Trippy and Ink heading Group 1. Kind of difficult draw. I mean, you don't want to play anyone in this in premieres, I feel like. It's a preference between playing, you know, all great players. And I mean, Trippy's gonna Trippy, I think, will show up some players. He's gonna style on them. He has great movement, and I think as he practices and he's getting back into rated, he will really like go into this groups as I think a bit of a dark horse. But yeah, his movement is insane. I think if he can keep his cool against like Ink's big bodies and stuff, he'll definitely make a run. I mean, again, you just need to get top 3 in these groups to make it into playoffs. That's all you need. So Ink and Trippy in Group 1. Let's go the next one. Yeah, before the set. Yeah, I agree. It's also hard to tell because each player is kind of like progressing at their own pace. Loaf. Wow, okay. So, Loaf drafted early. I think Loaf is an interesting player. There's not many players who play like him. I think I mentioned CCT before. Wait, Zesty, did you say that Jay is playing or no? But either way, I think if Jay and Loaf are in the same group, that's a group I would not want to be in. Both former Goomba Tower pros, and they are... Oh, Jay is not going to play. It still hasn't gotten back to you. Alright, we'll see, we'll see. Worst case, we'll save... We'll grab an extra person from challengers and promote them. But yeah, Jay and Loaf in Group 2 already shaping up to be quite a challenging group. Covering everything from, you know, slow play with Loaf to rampant offense with Jay. And Styx landing in the Group 3 with Vert. So, man, that is a tough draw. I don't think, out of the players on the board, I think Vert is the one who I'd most want to avoid. But that's crazy. I mean, hopefully the rest of the group is looking a bit easier, you know. Look at me say that, and then the next draw he gets Romomo or something. But I think Styx has been a really solid player, you know, despite potentially leaving the Discord yesterday and coming back. He has really improved a lot as a player. He ran through qualifiers, I think, in probably the most impressive run we saw in qualifiers, beating a lot of high-level competitors like Habo and Kool-Aid to make it in. So I think he has a good shot here, and don't let the rating and other matchups fool you. I think he'll be a difficult matchup for anyone who plays him. And then we're going into Group 4. Who's going to be the second person and join Blue Duck here? It's going to be Kool-Aid. Well, you can't avoid these draws. I feel like Loud people are just constantly drawing each other. Maybe it's just because Loud and Evo are all over the place here. So, but Kool-Aid making it into this group. Gonna play his fellow Loud Pack player in Blue Duck. Kool-Aid also responsible for all these player cards. Shout out to Kool-Aid again, doing all this big work for media staff and stuff behind the scenes. And yeah, at least I'm not in Kool-Aid group. Yeah, that's for real. He has been tearing it up, destroying people left and right, and especially in qualifiers. And I think in that last game when he went 3-0 against Hans, he was just making a statement. You know, he was frustrated that he had to go into that last round, and he showed that he deserves to be in premieres. So he'll have an interesting matchup against Blue Duck in Group 4. Yeah, Sticks, I think it's hard that you're stuck with Vert, but it happens, it happens. I keep missing that remove button. And we're down to the back half of the players. There's only 8 players left, 8 spots to draw. Let's see who lands next. Is it gonna be Richie? Oh, it just barely slides onto Mom Jeans. And Mom Jeans getting his berth into this tournament through his breakout Amis performance. I think most people did not expect him at the outset to reach Amis finals, but he made it, and getting into Group 1, now he will have the chance to rematch his Amis co-finalist Trippy, and also show up Ink, his fellow Evo team member. So yeah, I think a good draw for Mom Jeans. I don't think people want to be in Group 2 right now, is what it's looking like to me. And man, I keep missing this remove button, so we need to go manually remove Mom Jeans from the spinner. But we're down to the final 7, so who's going to be in Group 2? It'll be Richie. Oh, Richie has been a continual menace in the scene since he came into the competitive scene. He has been really showing people what the true potential of Birdo is, And while he struggled a lot against Jay, he's had some interesting matchups against Loaf, and I think he has a shot really at making it out. He doesn't play a lot of Raidens right now, but I hope he'll get back into tournament form because he's the last kind of key competitor from the shooting meta. Um, and landing in Group 2 will give him a lot of interesting rematches. So excited to see what happens there. Um, and let's go into Group 3. Who's going to land in that third spot? Wow. Sticks, I spoke too soon. You got Romomo too, and that's just the group of death. I think that's been sealed. Romomo and Vert. That's nuts. That's nuts. Romomo, one of the few EU competitors left in this Premier Cup, but probably consensus, top 3 player, and he's had the upper hand on Vert so far in their matchups and his friendly buddy. But we'll see. I mean, it's a crazy group now. It's Romomo, Sticks, Vert. That's no, you don't. Yeah, that's it's the spinner. The spinner controls all. So that's an unfortunate draw, but for Sticks. But the group just became infinitely tougher. And I'm happy that I dodged that one, at least for now. We'll see. There's still a lot more space to draw, and we'll see who gets that last spot in Group 4. Oh, it's gonna be me. Alright, so I put it in there. Kinda out of order, but I guess I have to talk about myself. See, if Trippy was here to co-host, then he could talk about this. Alright, so I'll be taking my lobs into Group 4 to play with the Loud Pack boys and hopefully cement a spot into playoffs. But man, this is shaping up to be a difficult draw. Like Kool-Aid and Blue Dog. Blue Dog has had my number in Raideds, but I've luckily snuck past him in tournament play so far, or not had to play him. I'm not looking forward to that. And Kool-Aid, the guy's a menace. His movement, his play style, I think it's going to be a real challenge. So, not the best draw, not the worst draw. At least I'm not with Romomo and Vert, like Sticks, unfortunately. But, if he makes it out of that group, I think that'll be a statement. Alright, so we are on the last round to draw. We're looking here, Samurai, J-Bangs, Ness, and Milau, Truth, all on the board. And because of that, they've all had to watch a little bit extra time. So let's see who gets into Group 1. It's gonna be Samurai. And Samurai, man, that's at least it'll even out Group 1 a little bit. I was thinking that they had the slightly easier path, and then they get Samurai in. That's it happens. It happens. Samurai, though, I think everyone would say this guy's Mega Striker level. He's just an extremely solid player. I don't really know what else to say about him. He's no particular play style, but it's just very hard to get the ball off of him. Easy draw. Say I'm not gonna drop a game. We'll see. We'll see. I think don't underestimate the other competitors in the group. I think compared to other groups, with like Romo and Vert, obviously there's maybe a slight difference, but I don't think you should underestimate any of the players in this draft. All right, we're down to the last 3. Let me remove Samurai so that's a bit more clear. We're down to the last 3 players going into Group 2. Who's gonna get the draw? It's going to be Truth. And wow, this group is looking to be deep. All 3 of these competitors could have made a deep run into the playoffs. And Truth, known for his wacky play styles, his aggressive tackling, his clips of his movement, and he's gonna really throw a wrench, I think, into this group, because previously, J-Loaf, Richie, sure, there's enough spaces for all 3 of them to make it out, but one of these people is not making it into the playoffs. And that is just insane. You know, that's the level of play here that we're expecting. And now just 2 draws left. Jay Banksness and Milau. Who's getting drafted into that Romomo group? Ooh. Milau. Oh, you are entering Group 3, Milau. Oh man. Well, I'm glad you could at least watch the draft night, you know, figure out here firsthand. And Styx doesn't seem happy about that. And I mean, I wouldn't be either because Milau has been tearing it up. So, you know, he was asking, why do we even do qualifiers? Why not just take it based off WHR? And I think he is the reason we do qualifiers. And Milau showed up at qualifiers in wrecked face. And now his reward is playing Vert and Romomo in his group and Styx. And it'll be a steep competition, I think, for that 3rd place. No offense, but Vert and Romo are definitely my favorites in that group so far. But we'll see what happens. And that just means Jay Banksness goes into Group 4. So, Jay Banksness showing up in qualifiers, just barely making the cutoff in that last place, which was opened up by Zesty. And he's been on the rise. He's sneaked into Legend, you know. He's been grinding rateds, and Group 4 is really the group of the Loud Pack boys. There's now 4 Loud Pack members in Group 4. Oh, that's crazy. Alright, so let's review these groups again. Group 1, we have Ink, Trippy, Mom Jeans, Samurai 7. Group 2, we have J, Loaf, Richie, Truth. Group 3, we have Vert, Styx, Romomo, Milau. Group 4, Blue Duck, Kool-Aid, HK, J Banksness. My predictions, Group 1, I think Ink, Samurai. I give them the top lead. I mean, there's too many Evo members, so I say agnostically, I think Trippy makes it into 3. Evo-wise, I'm hoping Mom Jeans makes it into 3, but I think Trippy has been playing a lot more consistently than Mom Jeans, and Mom Jeans is just getting back into it, so we'll see whether he can wipe off the rust to make it even more competitive. Group 2, crazy group. I don't know what way this is going to play. I guess Zesty said that Jay cannot play, so we're going to see who's drafted into Group 2 from the remaining qualifier stats. I think it may be Havo. I forget who's in the next spot, but in that case you can imagine Havo or Hans in Jay's spot. I think the Jay replacement probably gets knocked from the group, and Truth, Richie, and Loaf advance for now, but we'll see. I think this group is extremely close in skill level and in outcomes, so it'll be really difficult to predict. Each match and each game is going to really count a lot. Group 3, I think Vert and Romomo are the 1 and 2. Styx and Milau, I don't know actually who's going to make it. I think Milau, if he cheeses Styx, he could tilt him, but if Styx just, you know, stays to his guns, he could make it out of the groups. Top 3 advanced Styx. So the person in first seed, they get a bye, and then the competitors in seeds 2 and 3 will play it out in round 1. And then Group 4, Blue Duck, Kool-Aid, HK, J Banksness. You know, because I'm biased and I'm in there, I'm gonna say I'm gonna go 1. But I think Blue Duck also has a solid shot at 1, and so does Kool-Aid and J Banksness as well. I think the group is mostly pretty even, with Blue Duck maybe having a slight edge. So we'll see what the competition is for the 3rd spot. But that closes it out. All the groups are drafted. This will be updated in Start GG. Thanks everyone for watching. Hopefully you had a good time, and we'll send any updates in the Discord. Alright, thanks everyone. See ya.